Top of the hour. Now, the news on Access Radio 88.8 FM.
On Access FM.
Good morning, it's 8 o'clock. Welcome to Access Radio Morning News Bulletin with me, Emmanuel Malis. But first, the headlines. EA Commissioner condemns abductions of humanitarian workers. South Sudanese Christians youth launch Climate Yes movement to confront climate crisis. And Adil urges SPLM unity, cautions against internal wrangles ahead of 2026 elections. And now the news in details. The Commissioner of Yei River County has strongly condemned a series of abductions and acts of harassment targeting humanitarian workers in the area, warning that such incidents threaten peace, security, and the delivery of vital services to vulnerable communities. In a press statement issued on Thursday, Commissioner Honorable Samuel Henry Malimbo described the attacks as criminal and unaccepted, emphasizing that they constitute serious violations of the law. He warned that continued targeting of aid workers undermine not only humanitarian operations but also the broader interests and well-being of residents across Yei River County. The statement stressed that humanitarian personnel operate in the county solely to provide life-saving assistance and essential services to those in need. As such, any intimidations, violence, or unlawful detentions directed at them puts both relief operations and community stability at risk. County authorities expressed particularly concerns over repeated abductions incidents along key roads. Among the cases cited were 8 workers from across who were abducted in Alero on Monday, June 1st, before being released on Wednesday around midday. In a separate incident on May 26, 2 staff members from Rural Women International were also reportedly abducted along the same road while carrying out their duties and released the following day. South Sudanese Christian youth on Saturday launched the Climate Youth Economical Summit, known as YES, a national faith-based movement aimed at mobilizing young people to respond to the growing impacts of climate change across the country. The movement, known as Climate Yes, is part of an international Christian youth advocacy network that emerged from the United Nations Climate Change Conferences. It seeks to strengthen climate justice advocacy, environmental stewardship, and community-led resilience in vulnerable communities. In South Sudan, the group will unite young people across states and counties to push for stronger environmental policies, raise awareness, and promote practical actions against climate-related challenges such as flooding, drought, heat waves, and displacement. Kenyi Emmanuel, national chairperson of Climate Yes South Sudan, described the movement as a long-term platform to amplify youth voices in environmental decision-making. He said the country is already experiencing severe climate shocks, including rising temperatures, widespread deforestation, and recurrent flooding that continues to displace communities. Central Equatoria State Governor and SPLM Chairperson Emmanuel Adil Anthony has called on party members in Terekeka County to maintain unity and comradeship, warning that internal wrangles will undermine the party's organizational strength ahead of the 2026 general elections. Speaking during a political mobilizations and a party structure is strengthening training in Terekeka County on Saturday, Adil said internal divisions are a setback to the SPLM's visions and missions at a time when political mobilizations is intensifying across the state. The one-day training organized by the county SPLM Secretariat with support from the state secretariat brought together representatives from all 10 payams of Terekeka County. It forms part of efforts to strengthen grassroots party structures and improve readiness for the upcoming electoral period. Adil stressed the importance of discipline within party ranks, saying unity, recruitment, mobilizations, training, and resource mobilizations remain central pillars of the SPLM's organizational agenda in the state. He urged members to prioritize strengthening the pillars rather than engaging in factional disputes. Staff unions and employees representatives in the joint operating companies DPOC, GPOC, and SPOC have called on the Ministry of Labor to suspend the enforcement mechanism for the National Social Insurance Fund, citing alleged non-compliance with key provisions of the National Social Insurance Act 2023, as reported by iRadio. The union said they support the lawful administrations of the National Social Insurance Funds and back retirement protections, disability benefits, survivors' benefits, and the safeguarding of workers' contributions. However, they raised concerns over the implementation process and said the legal framework must be fully respected. The union cited provisions of the Act governing the structure and administrations of the fund, including Section 9, which establishes the Board of Trustees, Section 10, which defines its compositions, Section 11, which provides for presidential appointment of board of members, and Section 36, which states that the managing director shall be appointed by the board. They say the appointment of a managing director before the constitutions of the board or outside its authority will undermine the law. The medical director of Juba Teaching Hospital, Dr. Mecca Isaac, has called for increased support to the country's main referral hospital, saying many of its patients cannot afford basic necessities. Speaking during the handover of a trash bins, cleaning materials, and other supplies donated by Nile Petroleum Corporations and Jetmat Nile Service on World Environmental Day, Dr. Isaac said the hospital serves most of the disadvantaged people in South Sudan. This is hospital with poor people. The people who come to Juba Teaching Hospital are the poor of the poor, he said in a video clip broadcast on the state-run TV SSBC on Saturday. Dr. Isaac said many patients admitted to the hospital lack food and medicine, placing additional pressure on the health facility. You are listening to Access Radio News. The judge presiding over the trial of suspended first vice president and opposition leader Riek Machar and 7 others on Friday warned media against publishing detailed accounts of courtroom proceedings, saying such reporting could undermine justice. Presiding Judge James Alala Deng issued the warning during the 84th sessions of the trial at Freedom Hall in Juba. In September 2025, during the early stages of the trial, the judge said the proceedings were open to the public and all media houses, emphasizing that public hearings guarantee access for citizens and journalists. Since then, journalists covering the trial have been required to surrender mobile phones, cameras, audio recorders, watches, and other electronic devices before entering the courtroom, relying on notebooks and pens to report the proceedings. On Friday, however, he said journalists should report only in summary form and avoid detailed publications of testimony, evidence, and legal arguments. The warning followed media coverage of testimony by accused Port Kang Chol, who alleged mistreatment in detentions and implicated senior officials in the Nasir incident. And in foreign news, Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, head of the Presidential Council of the Tasis government, rang the opening bell in Nyala on Sunday to mark the start of Sudanese certificate exams in areas under Tasis control. Prime Minister Muhammad Hassan al-Ta'aishi also launched the exams at Ibn Sina School in West Darfur, Ardamata area, praising the determination of his students and education workers who, he said, had kept the learning process alive despite the war. The exams are being held in 83 centers across Darfur, West Kordofan, and North Kordofan, with around 10,000 students sitting for the test. The centers include 30 in South Darfur, 14 in East Darfur, 7 in West Darfur, 6 in North Darfur, 8 in West Kordofan, and 1 in Central Darfur, and 1 in Al-Mazub in North Kordofan, in addition to a special center in Nyala for students from Sudan's central region. The exams began with biology for science track students and geography for literature track students. Daglo rang the bell at Al-Wahda Girls Secondary School in South Darfur, saying the Tasis government will fully support education as a foundation for stability. And to end the news, here is the recap of the main stories once again. Yei Commissioner condemns abductions of humanitarian workers. South Sudanese Christian youth launches Climate Yes movement to confront climate crisis. And Adil urges SPLM unity, cautions against internal wrangles ahead of 2026 elections. For more news, log on to our website at www.radiouae.org. You can also follow us on Facebook at Access Radio 88.8 FM Yei. And if there is any news story you would like Access Radio to report, call or send us a WhatsApp message on +211 927 588 870. On behalf of the news team, I have been Emmanuel Malis Richard. Thanks for listening.